While waiting at a stoplight in northwest Atlanta, a man walks in front of her car, screaming.
Started hitting the hood, then he eventually broke off the wiper blade here.
In a panic, Alexandria Had puts her car in park.
My doors automatically unlocked, and that's when he came in my car.
She grabs her phone and dials 911.
You have reached the City of Atlanta 911.
She's greeted with this recording.
Please do not hang up. The next available operator will answer your call.
Desperate for help, she hangs up and redials, but she hears the same recording.
Your call is very important to us.
While she's waiting on hold, bystanders pull the man from her car.
I don't know if he was having like an acute mental episode. I don't really know why he picked my car.
She drives home and calls again. This time she talks with a dispatcher.
I called twice, but it didn't get through, and then I hung up. It was like in the middle of like an emergency. He snapped the windshield wiper off of my car, and I was trying to call you guys.
In an emergency when every second counts, a CBS 46 investigation uncovered a frightening trend. In 2020, roughly 5% of Atlanta's 911 callers waited on hold for more than 40 seconds. In 2021, that number grew to 9%. And in the first 4 months of 2022, that number jumped to nearly 13%. That's more than 40,000 people calling 911 and waiting more than 40 seconds before talking to an actual person.
I thought you'd get through right away all the time.
The same thing happened to Stephen Canavan last month.
I called to report an alarm here at the Lindbergh Motor Station, and I was placed on hold and ended up in a loop.
Your call is very important to us.
The recording played over and over again for more than 5 minutes before a dispatcher answered.
Is that a problem?
Yes. It's a problem. So we're working to resolve those issues.
We went directly to Atlanta's E911 director, Desiree Arnold, who blamed low staffing for longer wait times.
If you want to help us with resolving this issue, come be a part of the team.
According to vacancy data obtained by CBS 46 Investigates, Atlanta budgets 170 positions for E911. 141 of them are filled. The center receives roughly 3,000 calls every day. And right now, Arnold says their phone system does not separate 911 calls from non-emergency calls.
We're looking to upgrade the phone system so that we can differentiate the two. So we'll have 911 calls going into one queue and non-emergency calls going to another queue.
She expects that upgrade to be completed by the end of the year. But CBS 46 Investigates found that staffing is not the only factor impacting wait times. Through public records, we discovered that 3 power outages have taken place at the 911 center since November. And recently, a city worker said a new power supply was needed because the old one was, quote, 20 years old and at end of life. Arnold said she could not address that and sent me to the department who oversees city facilities, where a spokesperson told me that a $3.6 million plan is now in the works to replace and upgrade aging equipment. But of course, all of that will take time.
Well, obviously 911, it could be a life or death situation.
Time that those in emergencies don't always have.
If it hadn't been for bystanders pulling the man from my car, I don't know how long I would have been in that moment.
When a person in Atlanta calls 911, they're asked if they need police, fire, or EMS. Once they say EMS, the dispatcher will transfer them to Grady EMS. And I found it's what they say next that will ultimately determine the ambulance response. Moments after a bad fall, Randy Hubble knew his partner was in trouble. So he grabbed his phone and dialed 911.
I need to get an ambulance over to our residence. My partner has fallen down and he has hurt his hip.
Randy made that call at 9:30 on a Tuesday night in February. 40 minutes later, no ambulance had come to his Atlanta home. So he called again.
Like, what's going on?
You have the call, sir, and I do want to apologize. We are experiencing a delay. We have a very high call volume in your area. Has anything changed with his breathing or level of consciousness?
No, but he's
Is there
not
any
mobile.
new pain or bleeding?
No.
Okay. Given the high volume of calls we are experiencing, we We are prioritizing your call based on his symptoms, and there may be a significant wait. One of our providers will be sent to evaluate you at your home within the next few hours.
The fall broke his partner's hip. While in severe pain, they waited. It took Grady EMS 2 hours to arrive.
Did you ever think this could happen?
No. To be put in a queue because he wasn't bleeding and he wasn't having cardiac experience, yet he was not mobile, couldn't go to the bathroom, and was experiencing a heavy degree of pain. It's just very disappointing and sad.
Grady claimed that their average monthly response time for life-threatening calls so far this year was between 10 and 13 minutes, and for less urgent calls, 17 minutes. But for someone waiting for an ambulance, CBS 46 Investigates uncovered it's actually much longer, because Grady's clock does not start when you make the call and the dispatcher answers. It only starts when the ambulance is sent out. CBS 46 Investigates combed through dozens of state health records, and we found that overall response times were dramatically higher than Grady suggested. In fact, the average monthly response time for life-threatening calls, according to state records, was between 22 and 29 minutes so far this year. And for less urgent calls, between 46 and 89 minutes. And we found it's not a new trend. Response times for life-threatening calls more than doubled over the last 15 months and quadrupled for less urgent calls.
I'm not going to make any excuses. That is unacceptable.
It's a problem City Councilwoman Keisha Waits recognizes is impacting public safety.
We're all a team. And so if one is having challenges, we're all having challenges. And so it's my hope to figure out how we can get them the resources to thrive.
So we took our findings to John Hansen, the Senior VP of Grady EMS.
Is there ever a reason that someone should have to wait close to 2 hours for an EMS?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it that there would be a reason for them to wait that long. It wouldn't be our hope that anyone would wait that long.
Is that a problem?
Yes. It's a problem. So
And like his counterpart at Atlanta's E911 Center, who I questioned about 911 hold times, Hansen offered a similar explanation.
I think you can attribute most of it to staffing shortages.
While Grady EMS budgets for 200 full-time paramedics and EMTs, right now they only have 145 full-time employees.
You acknowledge there's a problem here. What are you doing to do better?
Absolutely, I'm glad you asked that question. We, on May 22nd, we implemented a new operations plan.
That plan included a complete restructuring of Grady's dispatch protocols, so that medic trucks are now only responding to life-threatening calls, while basic trucks or single driver cars are responding to lower-level calls. Grady has also increased pay for paramedics and EMTs, while implementing sign-on and retention bonuses.
We'll take the criticisms and the challenges, but we're going to work through them, and we fix things.
Big promises.
You haven't helped. That's why.
Offering little comfort to those who have already waited.
Because this is Atlanta, this is an awesome city, and to have service like that for our 911 is not okay.
It's been a cluster.
Like many first responders, this paramedic, who did not want to reveal his identity, fearing retaliation, got into the field to help people. That's why he's grown frustrated with current working conditions at Grady EMS.
Time's getting longer, people getting sicker or more angry with us or dying more frequently because we're not able to get there.
The push to unionize comes after a CBS 46 investigation exposed dangerously slow response times. For life-threatening calls, according to state records, that ranged from 22 and 29 minutes. And for less urgent calls, between 46 and 89 minutes, statistics that did not surprise those on the front lines.
The call taking varies from day to day based on who's sitting in the chair. The equipment that they have is outdated and impractical. And despite all of the suggestions, the feedback, the changes to the system as a whole that the ground level employees are offering, none of it is being heard.
That's where he says the International Association of EMTs and Paramedics, or IAEP, comes into the picture. According to the complaint IAEP filed with the National Labor Relations Board on behalf of Grady EMS employees, management has, quote, interfered with, restrained, and coerced its employees by engaging in surveillance, threatening employees with the loss of benefits or termination for supporting the union, even increased supervision to intimidate employees.
It's a poorly managed system, and it's long overdue for a change.
Grady EMS disputes these claims, telling CBS 46 Investigates IAEP does not represent Grady EMS employees, adding the complaints filed are broad, with no specific details provided.
We respond to in the neighborhood of 350 to 400 calls a day.
In an interview last month, the senior VP of Grady EMS blamed short staffing for the longer response times, but said that Grady was already in the process of restructuring its dispatch protocols to improve those delays.
We'll take the criticisms and the challenges, but we're going to work through them, and we fix things.
Meanwhile, Atlanta leaders say they're not sitting idly by as ambulance response times continue to rise.
We don't want to be adversarial. We want to be a partner in this and have our own set of ambulances.
That's why City Councilman and Public Safety Chair Dustin Hillis is pushing for Atlanta to start its own ambulance service.
So it's the top priority.
Not in place of, but rather in conjunction with Grady EMS.
I want to see more ambulances purchased and strategically placed throughout the city.
So far, the city has purchased 2 ambulances that will be based at a new fire station on Campbellton Road in southwest Atlanta, a neighborhood that has long been plagued by slow emergency response times. It's something the paramedic we spoke with calls putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
You've heard it for decades now. Atlanta can't live without Grady. The employees that you see when you call for help are tired of watching it die.